Welcome to the second part of professional tea tasting. In this second video, I will look at two aspects of professional tea tasting that are often neglected, or even worse, mixed one for each other: texture and intensity. So let's find out what they are all about. Hi guys, this is Gabriele from nannuoshan, where we share the pleasure of discovering and drinking genuine farm tea. And today we are here to improve your pleasure in drinking genuine farm tea. If you're new here in our channel and you're also looking to expand your tea horizon and improving your brewing skills, then make sure to click on the subscribe button. And if at any point of time you enjoy watching the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. That's very important for us. So, in the previous video about professional tea tasting, we've looked at an association between the taste of the tea and the 5 basic tastes: sweetness, sourness, bitterness, umami, and saltiness. Today, we are looking at another aspect, and in particular, we are looking at the texture and intensity. But before starting, let's speak about one thing. You might have noticed that in the previous video, I have started actually with tasting, and maybe you have asked yourself, shouldn't we actually start by smelling the aroma of the leaf, the fragrance of the leaf, rather than starting directly with the taste? And the answer is for sure. That's the place where you want to start. You want to start by smelling the leaves. However, in this series of videos about professional tea tasting, I don't want to follow the order in which you will have to approach your tea. The order will be explained later in another video. I would like to start from a very high level, the 5 basic tastes, and once you have associated your tea with one of those 5 basic tastes, as explained in the previous video, then we will look at more and more in depth into the taste of the tea. So just step by step, looking further down into all the nuances. And in this video, we are doing this one step down. As said, we are discussing today texture and intensity. So let's first define the two and start to understanding which are the difference actually between these two words that, as said, most often are confused one for the other. So if we start with the texture, with texture I mean, if you want, the tactile feeling of the tea in your mouth, on the palate. Now, it is a concept that is very much related to the touch sense rather than to the taste sense. I know that many of you actually are German, so if I may switch to German just for 30 seconds. Auf Deutsch würde ich die Textur als die Haptik im Geschmack beschreiben. Also die Haptik, das Haptikgefühl im Mund. Okay, back to English. So now, the texture we said is the tactile feeling inside the mouth. And as said, is related to touch. So you have really to imagine your mouth, your palate, your tongue like fingers, and when you touch a surface, you really feel if it is smooth or rough, right? It's just a matter of touching it and feeling it with your hands. In the same way, in your mouth, you can also feel if a tea is smooth or if it's rough, and this has nothing or not necessarily anything to do with intensity. Now, what is was in intensity about? I'm not going to define what is intensity. All of you know what is intensity, but let's maybe search for some synonyms to strengthen our understanding actually of the word intensity. If I think at intensity, I think at words like strength, like body. If I want to search an analogy with wine tasting, the body of a wine, the body of a tea, I might think at words like power, or if you want, even energy, right? And all these words are, when it is about tea, are related to the taste sense. So you see we have the texture, the tea is like touching a surface, is like the touch sense, and the intensity is more related to the taste. Now, how to evaluate the texture and the intensity of a tea? I have written down a scale, a series of adjectives describing for each category the texture and the intensity from low to high, in order to help us when we describe the tea. I have to pull out the list in front of me here. I have here a computer, so I don't remember all the adjectives by heart. So here I am, and I will write them also here on the screen. Now, you don't have to write them down if you don't have time or so. We are preparing actually a small summary of all these videos about the professional tea tasting. So next time that you place an order with nannuoshan, just add a comment to your order asking to send you over also the booklet about professional tea tasting. We will print it for you and we'll send it over with your package. So when you place your order and at checkout, there is a field where it is written, where it is asked to you who introduced you to nannuoshan. Then you can reply that question simply asking for the professional tea tasting summary. All right, so let's look at the adjective. I will read them, they are in front of me. You will see here on this side. So if we look at the texture start with, I would say, adjective like thin, watery, clean. Now you see that I wrote clean bold because I decided basically to put in bold those adjectives that are directly related to the touch sense. So if you have a surface that it feels clean, for example, is a clear association with the cleanliness that you might feel in your mouth, like the word velvety. Also, if a surface is like silk, yeah, and also you have this silk, this velvety feeling in your mouth. Then if a surface is smooth, for example, but if I go to round, I don't have really a direct connection with the tactile feeling, although round is a very good word for describing the texture of a tea. Then I have crisp, mineral. Sometimes you can think at mineral like a texture, also like a taste. We will see that later. But I mean, is a word that can be also associated with texture. Viscose, yeah, oily, starchy, powdery, furry, or rough. Now you see, is a long scale, is a long list of adjectives. I've put there also the translation in German. I hope that that's all correct. And it gives you a little bit of feeling. So when you taste the tea, you can look at these and you can think, okay, is this tea thin? Is it watery? Is it rough? And so on. Now, concerning about intensity, there is also a similar scale that you see now here on the wall, and it starts with light and it ends with heavy. And in between we have delicate, soft, discreet, mild, balanced, substantial, full-bodied, bold, and as said, heavy. So you have a whole scale of adjective. All right, so now we want to practice together. Which tea you should choose for this experiment, which is the best way to start with? I will tell you in a minute. First of all, I will boil the water and then I'm back with you. Alright, the water is boiling, and let's speak about which tea you should choose. If you have done the experiment explained in the first video, you can simply go for exactly the same teas so that you keep on developing and understanding better the taste of those specific teas. However, there is also another potential choice that you can do when selecting the tea for assessing texture and intensity. And my personal suggestion is to choose white tea. Why? Because white tea has this neutral, light, umami, not bitter taste that help you focusing on the texture and the intensity. It is not extremely aromatic, not extremely fragrant, and you are not biased by all this input to your senses. So for this experiment today, I have chosen for me a very fresh Baimudan from Springs 2019, from Springs of this year. This is a wild white tea. It means it is grown with on bushes that are actually no more taken care of by humans. They are just there on the side, and they grow by themselves. On this side here, I have another Baimudan, and this is however from 2012, so it's already 7 years ago, and as you see, it is much darker and it is also compressed. I already loosened a little bit the leaves in this because I want to steep it more or less at the same speed as the other one. So now we'll pour water into it. We have 3 grams of leaves in each of them. I have boiling water here, and I will look at the watch that I have in front of me and steep it for 3 minutes each. If you remember at the beginning of the video, I was saying that we are not following the same order in these videos that actually you should approach a tea with. So we are not starting, for example, with the aroma. We haven't spoken much yet about taste, but we have used a little bit another approach. Now, another reason why I don't want to start with aroma and then later on in another video continue with the taste is the following, is that aroma and taste, although they are 2 different senses, are very much related to each other. So one is with your nose, the other with your mouth, but you know, nose and mouth are connected, and you can do a very small experiment. I might have mentioned that in previous videos, to find out how much the 2 senses are actually related to each other. So take a friend of you or maybe your partner, they have to close their eyes, take the tongue out, you take a little bit of cinnamon powder, and you put it on their tongue. Then they have, while doing that, they have to keep their eyes closed and they have to keep their nose closed, like this. And while they do like this, they have to taste what you have put in your mouth. They of course don't know it is cinnamon, they have to taste it and they have to tell you what it is about. Most likely they won't be able to tell you that it's cinnamon until they release the fingers from the nose. At that point, the 2 senses are connected and it's very easy to recognize that that's cinnamon. So this is just to let you understanding why I would like to approach aroma and taste in one video together, and this will be maybe the following one or maybe the one after this one, I have to see. Alright, so now we have these 2 tea steeping. I have here my, this looks like a muffin, it's not, it's homemade bread. Very yeasty bread, so perfect for to be used as palate cleanser. And I have here a bowl and I have my cup. I said I'm using glasses just because here I'm not at home, it is not at my home, and I don't have my typical bowl that I use for this experiment. If you have a bowl that holds about 200 milliliters, is the perfect way of putting 150 milliliter waters in it and then being able to scoop it out without having to move the glass. I will wait another little bit and then I will start tasting, and I would like to put in front of me the list that I had before. By the way, I told you that here I have fresh Baimudan, here I had a little bit middle-aged Baimudan. If you want to do this experiment with more tea, let's say you want to do it with 5 tea, then I suggest taking a very fresh Shomei, 1 to 3 years old, a very fresh Baimudan, 1 to 3 years old. Then you can take a middle-aged Baimudan, like this one, and then you want to take, maybe let's say you want to do 4, you want to take a aged white tea. It can be a Baimudan, it can be an Indian, whatever you want, but an aged means more than 10 years old. And that would give you a whole set of different intensity and texture to play with. Alright. Now it is my turn here to drink this tea. Oh, the glass is still very hot. And let's see how it is. So I say this is a very fresh white tea. I even smell it, that it is still quite grassy. as white tea usually is at the very beginning. After a year, you don't have any more those grassy note. Cheers. So let me pull out the list. I start with the texture. It has some, it's not super smooth and thin, it's even not watery. You instantly feel there is more than water in there. Let me see, velvety, smooth. Smooth is, but it's a bit more. I would say this is somewhat between round and crisp. So it is more quite delicate, but at the same time you feel there is more than water in that. It doesn't flow super smoothly on the palate. It has a little bit of this crispiness that is probably related also to this grassy and vegetal note that it has. While concerning the intensity, that's pretty light, but I want to give it another try. What we have, delicate, yeah. It's definitely very delicate and light. Might be a little bit more than light. I'll go for delicate. It's somewhat delicate, soft is all adjectives that describe this tea well. So it has a little bit of a crispy touch to it. Like if you look at the tactile feeling that I have in my mouth. But as for the intensity, it's still very light and soft. All right, now I switch to the older Baimudan and see how that is. Let's see. You see how which color difference between the two there is? Well, that's interesting. So the first thing I thought is about the mouth feeling is thinner than the other one, is smoother. So if I told that the other one I said it is crispy, that's definitely has a lower texture impact. So I would rather say, let me see what we have here, clean, velvety for sure, yeah. Watery, no, it's not thin, it's not watery, but I would say somewhat between clean and velvety. Is very velvety indeed, yeah, it's very, very clean and smooth. I'm reading the adjective here. It flows in the mouth extremely smoothly, so that's definitely on the low texture side. While if it is about intensity, there's definitely much more strength than this one. So if I look again at my scale here, I would see balanced, no, I would say substantial. That definitely has a substantial body, yeah, that you really feel it, but it's super smooth and fluid in the mouth. Let me see. Now, I would like to give you a little bit of, taking some bread, and then I would like to try again to go back to the 5 basic tastes that I told you in the previous video and see where we are here. Alright, so when you do this experiment and out of different tea you want to find out which is the texture and which is the intensity, you can ask yourself a few more questions to understand the tea better. After you have assessed which is the texture and which is the intensity, you can ask yourself, are the two, the texture and the intensity, in harmony with each other? What I mean, if it has a low texture impact, like it is a tea that is very thin, it is also a tea that is very light in intensity, or you might have a contrast when you have a tea that in the mouth feel a little bit rough, like a rough surface, but at the same time in the intensity is very light. So you can assess if there is an harmony or a contrast between the two. And once you have assessed that, you can ask yourself, are the texture and the intensity pretty intrinsic of the tea, or they might change if I steep the tea in a different way, modifying the water temperature, modifying the amount of leaf, and so on. So once you have made a guess of that, you can select one of the teas and try the same tea with different temperature if you want, or with different leaf quantity. I would only modify one variable at a time. So for example, if you just you can just play with the quantity of leaves and keep the water temperature and the water quantity and the steeping time just the same. I will start actually with this one. It's I say the mouth feeling in terms of touch of textile is very soft and smooth, and it has this body. And concerning the five basic tastes, here I will stay with umami. There is no bitterness in it, no sourness. It's for sure not sweet. Yeah, it's very similar to bread indeed. So it's definitely more umami profile. And let's see this one here. The fresh white tea. This white tea will change so much in the next months, but for now it has still this crispiness. It's a little bit pungent, a little bit aggressive. It's also much more aromatic than the other one, so it's less easy to find out about the intensity and the texture in this one. And concerning the five taste, this is more clearly umami. This is also umami, but you have to go by exclusion. You have just to say, okay, it's not salty, it's not sweet, it's not bitter, whatever remain. It's not sour for sure, remains umami. Alright, so here is more or less the whole set of things I wanted to tell you about texture and intensity. In the next video about professional tea tasting, we will move on. If you have made it to this point of the video, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe our channel if it is the first time that you are watching this video. I will see you in the next video very soon, and in the meanwhile, enjoy your tea moment. Bye bye.